Now today we have a little time and I wanted to start on what is the last part of the FZ600 project, the tank. And once we finish this, Mark will be ready to assemble the bike, so I want to get started on it today. Now step one, and this is really self-explanatory, but we'll go through it anyway. But this is the tank that I think Mark had it sandblasted. He said he did anyway. He's got the bottom blocked off, and I'll put some more tape on top of that. He's got this taped off. I like to try to just get some idea of what I'm dealing with. All the tabs are intact. It needs some Bondo work, some body work up here, it looks like. And I'll do the thorough. Well, I'm actually going to sand the whole thing down. It is a little bit of a dent up here. So step one is what I try to do is evaluate exactly, we'll tape that off too, exactly what we have to deal with. So step one is going to be to mask off some of these things that just need, and I'll do this with Gorilla Tape because I don't want any extra paint going down inside the tank. When using Gorilla Tape, this gives you a good bond so nothing will get down in there. Now, what I found with Gorilla Tape is when you're building up a big amount of paint on this, the clear and all the colors and primers, what happens, and sometimes it tends to peel away. Well, to avoid some of that, we'll go over this with ordinary masking tape. Masking tape the paint usually sticks to. So we won't have a chunk of that fly out into the paint at some unpredictable time. So now we have the best of all worlds. We have the fact that tape will stick real well, and the masking tape, hopefully nothing will peel off as we build up layers of paint. I did exactly the same thing over where the petcock goes. This little guy is already masked off, so we're ready to do a rough sanding. So the first step here is we'll take some 220 sandpaper, some soapy water. Now Mark has already done some of the body work on this. He just wanted me to check that, or just do a final sanding in or some touch up if we need it. I think most of it's pretty close, but there's no substitute for just sanding it several times, priming it. The high spots come right up immediately, and you can deal with them just with another coat of primer. Actually, this doesn't look too bad. Now, I don't know how long we're going to have to do, how much time we're going to have to spend on this kind of the Bondo work. Well, that mark looks pretty good. We'll put a little light coating on that later. Right there, there's one little spot. Nothing terrible, but you can see that's been dented. Now this side here has been dented, and I try to do it all by feel. And the 220 paper knocks it right down so you can find the high spots. But we'll find them right away, I'm sure. Because this, again, this part is going to be white pearl. It's going to show every mistake. We've got a lot of back masking to do. Luckily, the paint was a really good match. And I think this is going to be, when this bike is all assembled, this is going to be a really nice bike. Okay, we need a little bit of touch up on that. Now there's one spot here. And again, using paper towels to shim everything up. Once I get the really bad spots knocked down, then I'll just sand the whole part over with 220. Do a little bit of touch-ups. See, the thing to do is go in every possible direction with the soft block, so that you're picking up any high spots and it'll show the low spots. And I think we're one swipe of material away from having this done. Yeah, that's fine. But your hands don't lie. And this little spot up here is going to need a little extra primer. Now the next thing is, I'll take the 220 paper away, go get some 400, and sand the whole tank down. Now it really isn't critical whether we use 400 or 600 or what, but I do want to just roughen this up. And then what I'll do is, because the rain, actually Karen just yelled down at me a minute ago, the rain has stopped. So I may be able to sneak in between the raindrops and get the primer on this. And if it's raining, we'll just have to wait for another session. But since these tanks are not available in a brand new condition, when you have one of these and you can restore it to what I think is really better than new, it's really worth putting the effort and the time and everything into it. And this one's not too bad. Now when I first saw it, I saw these dents were in there. I was getting a little nervous, but that one will even be fine. But sometimes you think you can skip some of these steps. When you skip them, I don't know. When anything's going to be white pearl, that base had better be really, really nice. Now it looks like it's been already bondoed down here. So you never know when you have something this old. And that might be some of the residual old paint that never came off. But we'll try to get that off, of course. Now Mark did another really smart thing. And when he was over here doing concrete work, we talked about this. You take apart to the sandblaster. That's the best, of course. That's world quality when you do that. You get everything off. Well, in this case, you almost get everything off. But the problem, in fact, the guy missed a couple of spots here. We'll take care of this. As soon as you sandblast it, you want to go right away and prime it. Don't leave it in the back of your car or your damp cellar or something for a week at a time. That metal immediately starts to oxidize, and then that oxidation is under the primer. So Mark did a really good thing here when he did that. And again, we're working on things that are really not replaceable. So when you do put the extra effort in and you have one of these sparkling shiny, like Dale's bike for instance, Dale's RZ, you really have something you can't buy in a store. Here's one little issue that if I don't sand this off, if I don't take care of getting this off, this is going to ultimately be a problem. Because this, I don't know what paint this is. And again, we did have somewhere earlier on in this job, on the seat, I believe, or one of the side covers, some contamination. A contamination meaning new paint we were putting on didn't like this paint. And who knows, this is 30-year-old paint, 20-year-old paint. And we had bubbles and blisters. Well, I don't want to run that risk. So I really want to have everything I possibly can, all of this old stuff off when I'm done. Now, when I used to get things sandblasted, and the thing I used to do, which I don't know if you can even do it anymore because I haven't done this at this level in so many years, having frames and things sandblasted, but we used to go to any place that made monuments and bring them, and they always have a sandblaster at a monument place. So what the guy would do, and of course that's not the only game in town, what the guy would do, and I would ask him, you know, please get every little bit of stuff off. Now the reason they don't do that, a lot of times they're dealing with an old part and they get 90% of it off, and they don't want to take a chance of making this way too thin, or in the worst scenario, going right through. So I understand it's a CYA thing, so. But the point I wanted to make more than anything else was now we've got it perfect. The point I wanted to make, and it's a thing you can use in your whole life. To do something at 90%, that last 10% sometimes only takes a few minutes. In this case, Karen's already got the coffee cooking. By the time that coffee's ready, I'll have this ready to go. Now, there's other little spots where I see these little dots of paint and I don't like it. And this, for sure now, I have to reprime the thing more than once, but it doesn't even matter because these are things, look right down here, see they didn't do that. Now if we didn't do that, it may ruin the whole job, and then what do you do? times it's just another, this will take me another 10-15 minutes to get these little spots done. But you know, I'll sleep better tonight knowing there's no chance this is going to come back and bite me. Well, that's what I've said before. And the fussier, look at this, I never noticed this. See, the fussier you are, look, right at the whole bottom of this he didn't get. Wow. What would that suck if I went over that? As I'm looking at this, he didn't do the whole bottom of this either. I'm going to have to go get a couple of new pieces of sandpaper, but again, the thing to always remember is, relative to what the value of doing this job, the cost of the sandpaper is almost nothing. It's the labor and getting these parts restored to where they're just in perfect, better than factory condition. As soon as it stops raining out there, and I think it's going to be good for a while anyway, I've really spent a lot of time sanding this, and I'm hoping I'll get that nice smooth coat of primer on there and maybe get it into the garage or whatever before it rains some more. Anyway, getting it up to this position was, you know, a nice little upgrade, because it did have some dents, and Mark went the extra mile and took care of that. So I want to really get this part as nice as I can. And there'll be so many hours of back masking and everything in it, and you really don't want to skimp on this step. Now, as can happen sometimes, and it just happened today. It had stopped raining by the time I was done sanding this part. It's raining again. We're not going to compromise this, of course, so we're going to wait for a little bit better weather. We got this all prepped up. I won't have to save all this time. I won't have to water the plants tonight, and I guess, you know, if this table could talk, I wish I knew how many motorcycles and parts and guitars and violins and everything were refinished on that table. Wow. And if you look at it close, the patina, I know Turbo Steve loves patina, saw marks, hammer marks. Oh my God, look at this. What a butcher. But that table has painted a lot of stuff. Anyway, I think we'll pick this up either tomorrow or the next day, but having all this prep done is a really nice step, and I don't want to rush this job. Oh, I waited right to the end of the day, but it just never stopped raining, so we will pick this up. We'll live to prime another day. Hope you enjoyed the video, and thanks for watching.